And in today's session, we'll be sharing with you our plans for the year ahead. So in today's 45-minute session, I'll begin by giving you some background on how we developed our work program and our wider 5-year strategy before I hand over to our wonderful programs team, who will each share more about one of the hero projects they'll be leading on for this year. Joe, our Director of Programs, will then talk us through our events calendar for the year ahead before I'll summarize by talking through the different ways you can engage in our work and open up for questions. And just before we begin, some very brief housekeeping. First, please be aware that today's webinar is being recorded and will be available for catch-up should you ever want to revisit it or share with a colleague who missed it. Cameras and microphones have been disabled for the purposes of today's session, but our live chat is in use and we are planning to have a few minutes at the end for questions. So please do feel free to submit questions at any point during the session and we'll hope to take them at the end. You can do that by using the Q&A function in Zoom. And so that we can make the most of our time together, we do ask that those questions stay focused on today's session. But if you've got broader questions, as always, please do feel free to drop us a line at info@ukrio.org and we'll get back to you separately. Right, with all that being out of the way, first, a big thank you for coming today. Earlier this morning, we published our work program for 26-27, and we're really pleased to be sharing those plans with you today, which arose out of a wider strategy review process that we've spent the best part of the last 6 months developing with your input. But before we look ahead, I think it's worth just taking a moment to reflect on our journey here as an organization. As some of you may be aware, this year marks UKRIO's 20th anniversary. And over those last 2 decades, we've grown from a small pilot initiative specifically focused on the health and biomedical sciences into a national charity working across the research ecosystem. So much of that journey has been shaped by all of you, by the organizations that have supported us, the researchers and practitioners who have used our resources and services, and the expert volunteers who have contributed to our guidance, training, and forums. Looking at this chart, you can see that in our first year as an independent charity in 2012, we had just 21 subscribers, and today, we are very, very fortunate to count more than 175 organizations as part of the UKRIO community, and that spans universities, government bodies, charities, and local authorities. So first of all, on behalf of everyone at UKRIO, I'd like to thank you for your support. We wouldn't be here without you. I'd also like to rest assured that we don't take that for granted. We recognize that research integrity challenges are becoming ever more complex, and that is exactly why we've embarked on a process to better understand how and where we can scale our support to meet your needs. So earlier this year, you may be aware that we ran an open consultation on our 5-year strategy to cover 2026-27 through to 2030-31, which with a huge thank you to the 215 organizations and individuals who provided a response. That consultation sought to understand what members of the research community felt to be the most significant opportunities and challenges for research integrity in the UK, the barriers your organizations face in embedding research integrity, the resources or types of support you would find most valuable for us to provide, and where you think would be most valuable for us to focus in terms of thought leadership and policy influencing activity. And what we heard loud and clear from that was that in the context of a rapidly changing landscape, the community is really looking to UKRIO for leadership and guidance. Systemic pressures and research culture were identified as major challenges for the next 5 years, alongside the opportunities and risks presented by AI in research. We also consistently heard that limited resources, limited expertise, and a lack of leadership are key organizational barriers to embedding research integrity. And when we asked what would be most valuable from UKRIO, three clear messages came through. First, at a time when organizations are under real resource pressure, people need practical, timely guidance that increases both confidence and also efficiency. Second, we heard there is a clear gap in good quality research integrity training that can build skills, confidence, and capacity across the system. And third, there is a need for thought leadership on emerging challenges and for UK Rio to act as a champion and a convener for research integrity in a fast-moving environment. This input has directly shaped the four priorities under our new 5-year strategy, those being to strengthen the depth and reach of the practical support we provide, to build skills and capacity within the research community, to create spaces for people to come together and co-develop shared solutions, and to act as a champion for research integrity across the system. Over the next 5 years, a key priority for us will be to expand the advice, guidance, and tools we provide to help bolster capacity, confidence, and consistency within the sector. This means first enhancing our advisory service. We know that this is a vital and increasingly important source of support for many in the research community, with the number of inquiries we've received growing by 50% in the last year alone. And we remain committed to ensuring that anyone who needs advice can access it through our confidential advisory service. So to meet growing demand, we will be increasing the resource available to the service, as well as working to improve our processes to ensure the advice we provide continues to be timely, relevant, and informative. Second, we will be strengthening our horizon scanning and our guidance on emerging issues. During our consultation, we heard consistently that keeping pace with a rapidly changing landscape increasingly feels like an impossible task for many, particularly when set against so many competing priorities. So over the next 5 years, you can expect us to be stepping up our work to horizon scan on behalf of the sector to identify important trends and emerging issues at an earlier stage. And identifying those issues will only be part of the picture, of course. We'll also be working to turn those insights into timely, practical briefings and guidance to help organizations stay informed and respond with confidence. And in tandem with that, we'll be deepening our focus on creating practical resources that people can use straight away, things like templates, model procedures and policies, and checklists that can be adapted quickly to your context and needs. The aim here is really to make it easier for organizations to work efficiently and with confidence, even in challenging circumstances. Our second priority is to build skills and capacity across the research community. One of the clearest messages we heard in responses to our consultation was the need for training on research integrity, not just for practitioners, but also for everyone involved in the research process. So over the next 5 years, we are committed to expanding our education and training offer with a focus on making sure that that is both high quality and accessible. Our aim is to make sure that everyone involved in research has access to the knowledge, skills, and support they need to safeguard and advance research integrity. That means you can expect training on a wider range of topics tailored for different audiences and in a wider range of formats, from live workshops to webinars to flexible on-demand learning and shorter bite-sized modules. The goal here is really to make sure that research integrity is seen as a core professional competency across the sector rather than a specialist skill set held by a few small number of people. Third is creating space for shared solutions, because we know that support isn't just about resources, it's also about people and connection. And we have seen firsthand how research integrity is strengthened when people can learn from one another, share emerging issues, and work on challenges together. And so with that in mind, over the next 5 years, you can expect UKRIO to increase its convening role and expand its events program, creating trusted and confidential spaces to explore complex or sensitive issues, opportunities for peer learning and knowledge exchange, and roundtables that bring stakeholders together to co-develop practical solutions to systemic issues. By doing that, our aim is to really support shared learning, build collective expertise, and help drive sector-wide improvements in research integrity. Finally, is amplifying our advocacy and thought leadership because our vision goes beyond simply supporting compliance. Our ambition is really to create a research system and environment where people are genuinely supported to do their very best work and where integrity is a shared and lived commitment. So over the next 5 years, our aim is to make that case clearly and consistently that integrity is fundamental from everything from research excellence to public trust and responsible innovation. Through targeted advocacy, thought leadership, and sustained engagement, we will work to ensure integrity is recognized as a vital part of a healthy research system, shaping how research is funded, conducted, governed, assessed, published, and commercialized. So I hope you'll agree these are ambitious long-term strategic priorities, and I will say now that they will require time and collective effort to deliver. Well, we've grown and evolved significantly since our days as a pilot initiative back in 2006. It's important to recognize we do remain a small but mighty team of 10 staff. And really, the reason we've been able to punch above our weight is threefold. First, because of the support we receive from all of you and the wider expert community. Second, because we are a team of deeply committed and passionate individuals about research integrity. And third, because we are working strategically and collaboratively, focusing our efforts where we can make the most meaningful contribution. We know we can't do all of this at once, and that is why in May we sought your input through our stakeholder survey to help us understand which resources, services, and activities would have the greatest impact over the coming year. That feedback has directly shaped our 26-27 work program, which, as I mentioned, I'm really delighted that we have launched today. In line with what you've told us, that program is focused on providing practical, accessible support to help organizations navigate change, address emerging challenges, and make the most of limited capacity and resource. And we've also prioritized areas you said you wanted additional support and were the most pertinent topics for the community overall, those being artificial intelligence, research culture and environment, research misconduct, and research ethics. There is a huge amount of information in this year's program, and I do encourage you to take a look at the document we've just shared in the chat if you'd like a deeper dive. But for now, I'm really delighted to hand over to the programs team, who will be highlighting just a few of the projects underway to give you a flavor of the work you can expect from UKRIO over the coming year. And with that, over to you, Jo.
Thanks so much, Steph. I'm Jo Woodhams. I'm the Director of Programmes at UKRIO, and I've been working at UKRIO since November 2017. So I would now consider myself as a research integrity professional with a special interest in research ethics and AI. Prior to working at UKRIO, I was a preclinical researcher where I received my PhD way back in 2005. So I also bring that experience and understanding to my work. Like many of you, I found that research integrity challenges are often complex and constantly evolving. And so that's exactly what makes working in this field so fascinating. We've got an exciting programme of work ahead, as Steph has mentioned, but before we talk about some of the projects we're delivering this year, I'd like to introduce the team who make the work happen and say a little bit about our experience and expertise. I have the pleasure of leading the UKRIO's programme team, working closely with 3 programme managers, Finley Hickey, Dr. Marusha Martinez Campos, and Kanisa Riaz. I'd like to invite the team on to introduce themselves. Shall we start with Finn?
Hi, I'm Finley. My background is in research integrity, ethics, and governance, having worked in both open access publishing and research intensive universities. I've supported, administered, and reviewed for a range of research ethics committees, including for multidisciplinary committees and for social sciences and medical research. Much of my work is focused on developing guidance and training that helps researchers and organizations navigate complex ethical and regulatory challenges.
Marusha, would you like to come in?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Marusha, and I'm a biologist by training. After doing my PhD in cell biology at Cambridge University, I moved away from the bench into publishing in an open access journal in London, and then into science communication at the institutional level back in my hometown in Barcelona. And that's where my passion for research culture and research integrity kind of reignited. And I started also delivering training on these topics. So 20 years after leaving the UK, I'm back here and very happy to have joined UKRIO to put my combined experience on research, good practice, and integrity and training to good use.
Kanisa, would you like to come in?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kanisa, and I'm also one of the new program managers at UKRIO. I have over 10 years of experience in delivering impactful programs across the public, research, data science, and AI sectors. And this has included delivering training programs, implementing institutional governance frameworks, and also contributing to national initiatives to improve equity in research and technology. I am passionate about delivering meaningful change, and I'm really looking forward to contributing to UKRIO's mission by supporting researchers and organisations to uphold the high standards of research integrity.
Thanks so much. So now you've met the team. So we're very much focused on the delivery aspect of the charities, and our activities really drive forward UKRIO's mission to promote good practice, good research practice, foster integrity, and prevent misconduct. So there's 3 strands to how we do this: through an offer of extensive events and training, facilitating and providing opportunities to co-produce guidance, templates, and resources, and by giving confidential advice to organisations, individuals navigating those complex research integrity issues via our advisory service that Steph mentioned earlier. And also, we are a small team, but our impact, as Steph has mentioned, is really amplified by UKRIO's expert community and wider research sector. So, for example, many of our resources and projects and initiatives are shaped through external review, specialist input, and collaboration with stakeholders across the ecosystem. And this collaborative approach is central to how UKRIO works. We reflect our strong commitment to co-production, partnership, and drawing on that collective expertise to develop those practical solutions for the sector. Our community volunteers have specialist expertise, both as practicing researchers and as research governance and ethics professionals. So what we're going to do now is the programmes team are going to talk through some of the key projects that they're working on that fall under the 4 thematic work streams. And I'll start with artificial intelligence. So as you may be aware, last year we published a practical guidance document for researchers on embracing AI with integrity. It doesn't address deliberate breaches of research integrity that AI might enable. Instead, it aims to raise awareness of the potential risks AI poses to research integrity. The guidance highlights these key areas where researchers can take proactive steps to mitigate the risks. The guidance can be easily found in our resources section of the website, but we're also going to put the link now in the chat for ease of access. Back in June, this last month, we hosted a live subscriber training webinar for almost 400 learners. It was very well received with some great engagement. And the next step is to launch a Train the Trainer toolkit to enable those learners and others to take the training and deliver it themselves. We're producing a facilitator's guide, slide deck, transcript, and supporting case studies that they can work through. However, if you don't have the capacity to deliver the training yourselves, we'll be running this live training webinar twice more over the next 12 months. And as Steph mentioned, we are dedicated to building skills and capacity, and this is one of the ways that we're doing that. We are also creating a new online course. This will be for subscribers with unlimited places for their learners. It will be an in-depth standalone course based on this guidance with case studies and mitigation strategies to protect research integrity. I'll now pass over to Kanisa.
That's great. Thank you, Jo. So I will go through a new project that sits within the research integrity breaches and misconduct work stream. So UKRIO are currently developing a new core procedure to investigate breaches of research integrity. So this resource is being co-developed as a streamlined companion to our detailed procedure for the investigation of misconduct in research, which was published in 2023 and then updated last year in December. So as we are all aware, research organisations often face challenges when responding to concerns about potential breaches of research integrity, and there is a growing demand for practical support in this area. There is also significant variation in how organisations assess and investigate these concerns. For instance, some organisations have dedicated resources and procedures, whilst others may have fewer resources and rely on other internal processes like their complaints or disciplinary processes. This variation can lead to inconsistency, uncertainty, and differing expectations about how concerns should be handled. As part of this project and the recommendations from our report, Barriers to Investigating and Reporting Research Misconduct, which was published in 2024, we are aiming for this core procedure to provide a standardized framework that can be used by any organizations working with research and researchers. This includes organizations that may have limited capacity or resources or experience in this area. And we really want to work with organisations on this core procedure to establish clear, proportionate and practical processes when handling these concerns. So how can you get involved? So as part of this project, we have drafted a core procedure and we will be running 2 online workshops in July. We've got one on Tuesday 14th of July and one on Thursday 23rd of July. And we warmly invite you or a suitable representative from your organisation to attend one of these workshops. We're looking to have about 30 participants from across the research community and representing a diverse range of disciplines, sectors and professional roles. And we are really keen to get feedback from yourselves and your organisations and hear insights on how you approach this. We also have got a 6-month training program, which is currently a pilot where we have invited our subscribers to test the training, and it's aimed at those who oversee, manage or participate in investigations. Once the pilot program has ended, we are going to be sharing this toolkit, which contains a training guide, slide decks, transcripts and case studies with the wider community. And we feel that this project is really important and we would like your input to come help shape a sector-wide resource that supports organisations and how they respond to research integrity concerns. And we're hoping with the final core procedure will actually foster a more stronger and unified approach in this sector. You have the QR code on the slide and there will also be links in the chat, and we really hope you're able to attend. And thank you for listening, and I will now pass over to Finn.
Thanks, Kanisa. I'm going to focus my talk on the research ethics thematic work stream. UKRIO is updating the research ethics support and review in research organisations package. It's a flagship resource for us and one of UKRIO's most downloaded documents. It was developed jointly by UKRIO and ARMA, and this version 2 is due to be published aiming for early September of this year. The revisions have been developed to align with the refreshed Concordat to support research integrity, broaden the relevance of the guidance for a variation of research organisations. So that can be small, large, charity, third sector organisations to ensure that the content remains current and fit for purpose in 2026. Briefly, for context, the origins of this document derive back in 2004. A survey of UK universities revealed substantial variation in research ethics review practices, with many institutions not having formal ethics review processes in place. In response to this, the Association of Research Ethics Committees published a framework of policies and procedures for university recs in 2013, and that framework recognised the value of achieving greater consistency in ethics review across the sector. Back in 2020, we built on that framework and incorporated developments in policy and practice since 2013, and UKRIO and ARMA published this package. The aim was to promote consistent best practice while recognising the diversity of research organisations and their different ethics review arrangements. The guidance is definitely relevant today, and variation in ethical review processes continue to exist both within research organisations and between research organisations. There still is quite some variation. So this document provides guidance of the principles of ethics and integrity in research, introduces some core principles that should underpin ethics review and the supporting processes. It offers guidance on how high standards of ethics review and support can be established and maintained within a government's framework, alongside practical recommendations on the structure and operation of research ethics committees. This main document has now benefited from the expertise of more than 25 external reviewers from across the UK. So I'd like to thank them for that, and helping to ensure that the guidance has reflected a broad range of perspectives and experience. This resource package also includes 3 appendices, which are subject to a refresh. Appendix 1 is a REC review panel checklist for assessing ethics applications, which organisations or RECs can adapt for their own local processes. And this appendices has required significant revision, reflecting the considerable changes in ethical considerations and research practice over the past 6 years. Appendix 2 is a risk assessment matrix. This serves as a practical research management tool and helps researchers identify, assess, and mitigate risks associated with a whole research project. And Appendix 3 is an audit tool to be aligned with the core principles. It can be used as a self-assessment framework for research organisations to evaluate how effective their research ethics system is and does it meet the standards of such principles. As such, it supports continuous improvement in research governance and ethics oversight. This whole package to be revised is primarily for individuals in policy, governance and management roles, such as your professional service staffs or chairs and members of RECs. However, it is of great value to researchers too, because for themselves to understand the role that institutions play in supporting ethical research practice. I will now move on to discuss our upcoming forums related to research ethics also. On the topic of practical support for research ethics, I'd like to highlight a new initiative we're introducing to support colleagues involved in ethical review. As we've just discussed, our revised research ethics framework will provide an important foundation for ensuring robust, consistent and proportionate ethical review. However, we also recognise that along with guidance, there is a need for a trusted expert space for reviewers to get together to discuss complex, novel or emerging ethical challenges. That's why we're launching these 6 dedicated ethics forums over the coming years for our subscriber organisations. These forums are designed to provide a designated space for learning, discussion and practical problem solving among those involved in research ethics review. The planned forum topics include workshops with REC chairs, REC members, reviewing research with security implications, research involving the use of AI, social science research, and clinical research outside of the typical NHS settings. The format will be interactive and will begin each session with some structured learning and expert insights before moving into a workshop and troubleshooting discussion. This will give the participants an opportunity to explore real-world examples, share experiences, and discuss commonly occurring or emerging challenges with peers. These forums are going to be hosted by UKRIO's Associate Ethics Expert, Dr. Simon Colstow, who has extensive experience across a wide range of research disciplines and review context. His expertise will help ensure these discussions are practical and informed by current ethical considerations and good practice. And these forums are aimed to build a community of practice and support consistency in decision making and provide an ongoing opportunity to learn from one another as the ethical landscape continues to evolve. We look forward to sharing more details, including date and registration for these forums, and we hope many of you will be able to make it. In summary, the framework provides the guidance and the principles that underpin ethical review, while these forums will offer a practical space for discussion, learning, and peer exchange on how those principles are applied in practice. I'll now pass over to Marisha.
Thank you, Finn. So as Steph mentioned earlier, we have heard from the community that there's a need for accessible, high-quality training. So I'll like to tell you a bit more about our training provision, which we are planning to expand in the coming years in response to these needs and expectations from the community, and which span all four work streams. So as many of you know, we created a couple of years ago an online course, Introduction to Research Integrity. Since its conception, more than 100 institutions have rolled it out to the researchers and staff, and over 15,000 learners have accessed the course. So we have been collecting their feedback, and in line with our commitment to continuous improvement, we're using that feedback to work now on the third iteration of the course. So we're revising and updating it to basically make it more accessible. So those of you who have maybe accessed it know it was quite a long course, so we're streamlining it, and it will be split into 3 independent courses to offer more flexibility to users. So the first course will introduce the research integrity principles, including the role of research culture and environment. The second course will be focused on the existing frameworks that support that research integrity. And the third one will be more focused on research integrity in practice. And here we'll have short introductions to different topics. So research integrity when using AI, in collaborative research, in data management and open research, conflicts of interest, related to authorship, research security, and also an introduction to ethics. So these are introductory modules, but should give anyone working in research a good overview of the many aspects that research integrity touches. So the content has already been reduced and it has been externally revised, and I'll really like to thank those of you who have helped with that. And the new iteration is currently being built, and we have some community members also that will help with the functionality testing in the coming weeks. And again, we're very grateful to all of you for that. So the course will be ready by late September, and I'm very happy to say that we're making this now available to all of our subscribers with unlimited spaces. So until now, there were capped spaces for each organization, but now we're gonna remove that cap, and hopefully this will be positive news for you. As we know, some of our subscribers are making this compulsory for their staff, so hopefully that will help. So this is only one of our range of courses. If we move to the next slide, thank you. So beyond this introduction to research integrity online course, we have also 3 ethics courses also available already online for our subscribers, also with unlimited spaces or places. These are an introduction to ethics involving human participants, one for emotionally challenging or sensitive research, and one focused on research with children and young people. As I mentioned, we're working on expanding our offer, not only to cover a diverse array of topics, but also provide a variety of formats so that we can tailor to the trainings to different needs. And Steph has also touched on this before. So during the coming year, we're planning to create several short bite-sized online modules that can be easily integrated into busy schedules. This will be on several topics. These are just two examples. So authorship agreements and environmental sustainability as part of research integrity are two of the topics. We're also introducing a regular series of live training webinars, and 3 topics have been already programmed for the year, which are going to be repeated twice. And you can already see the dates of this in our events calendar. And the topics are Introduction to Research Integrity, for those researchers who are new to the topic, dealing with research misconduct, and as also Joe mentioned earlier, embracing AI with integrity. Beyond that, we're also offering to train the trainer toolkits for organizations that want to build skills and capacity internally. And again, my colleague Joe already mentioned the one on artificial intelligence that we're going to develop. And Kanisa also mentioned the research misconduct train the trainer that is already in a pilot phase in some institutions. And finally, we are also hoping to be able to respond to our subscribers' requests for bespoke live training by creating a series of trainings covering some defined topics like those that you see here in the slide, like research integrity introduction, research ethics, investigating research misconduct, embracing AI with integrity, and research integrity and sustainability. So we hope that this array of training opportunities will be of interest to you, and we're looking forward to being able to offer them and hearing your feedback to continue improving our training provision. And with that, I will pass back to Joe.
Thank you, Marusha, and thank you, team. It's a really excellent summary of all the work that's going on. So I'm going to talk about creating spaces for shared solution. Of course, research integrity is strengthened when people can learn from one another, share emerging issues, and discuss what good practice looks like, particularly in this rapidly evolving landscape. And we will continue to play a key convening role for the research community to create spaces to work collaboratively on shared solutions. So looking at our events programme for this coming year, 26-27, we have a really exciting year ahead with many, many opportunities for learning, sharing knowledge and working together to find those shared solutions. You'll be able to find more information about these events in our work programme, which is going to be shared in the chat. And new for this year, if I highlight from this particular slide, is the Research Ethics Committee forums, which Finn has already described to us in detail. So please advertise those widely with your committee members and their chairs or anyone else that's particularly interested in those topics. So UKRIO is continuing to host good practice forums for its subscribers. These are peer-led interactive sessions providing a trusted and private space to discuss challenges and share experiences and examples of good practice. They are smaller sessions that are led by attendees from within the subscriber community and offer that real opportunity to exchange ideas and share experiences and explore those practical approaches that can be taken. New for this year, we're encouraging attendees to confidentially discuss challenging anonymised cases and scenarios. We feel there's an opportunity to have that shared knowledge of what the current cases are, and we'll be in touch with attendees on how they can go about submitting these in advance. Across last year, this year, just now, we hosted 2 good practice forums. One session was on research ethics committees and the other focused on using AI in research. We'll put the links to their summaries in the chat so you can have a look at those and explore what was discussed at the good practice forums. So throughout the year, UKRIO is hosting 4 expert webinars where there'll be leading figures in the research community who will share insights on key issues in research integrities. So again, it's another opportunity to learn and hear about latest developments and examples of best practice that's happening within the community. If you would like to explore the expert webinars we hosted this year, a link's going to be shared in the chat, so you can have a look at the past videos. They were recorded and shared, so you can have a look at what we did this year. And for this coming year, we'll be able to look at these in more detail in our events calendar. So in October, we have the Restore project team telling us about their Wellcome-funded in-frame cross-institutional project to reduce barriers and stress in research misconduct in investigations and strengthen research integrity through empathy and support. In November, we have an expert webinar on the framework for positive action in research funding and careers. In January, we are looking at sustaining research integrity in the context of innovation and policy making, specifically focusing on the Athens Statement. And in March, we'll hear from the team at the University of Leicester, who are running a project looking at generative AI in qualitative data analysis and on its implications for ethics, trust, recruitment and inclusion. So it's all really interesting topics to watch and hear about. We also are going to host 2 cuppa conundrums, which sound quite intriguing, in our events programme, and these will be led by Lancaster University researchers, and they're in response to their work exploring creative methods for research in integrity interventions. So this is something quite different. Cuppa conundrums are informal discussion-based sessions designed to prompt reflection and dialogue around contemporary issues in research and academia. So it's a real exciting opportunity to be involved with something quite different. So please sign up or advertise more broadly to those who you think would benefit from attending. We have also planned 2 virtual policy roundtables. These are interactive output-focused sessions, providing a trusted space to tackle those really urgent challenges in research integrity. These sessions will bring together stakeholders from across sectors, including subscribers and invited expert participants who can feed into that particular topic. They'll be able to share their perspectives, discuss experiences, and then we really hope to create community-driven recommendations. This year, we hosted 2 roundtables. One was on ethical issues in international and interdisciplinary collaborations, which is a really interesting roundtable. And the other was on the roles of research organisations, publishers and funders upholding responsible AI use, with a focus on peer review in the context of both scholarly publishing and grant assessments. And again, it was another fascinating conversation. It was a really great opportunity to bring together experts from across the sectors and from elsewhere. We're really grateful for those that spoke at those events too, so thank you very much for that. We are sharing the first roundtable summary output in the chat now, and the AI one will be published later in the year in September. We haven't decided the topics we're going to go look at these roundtables this year. As we know, the landscape is rapidly changing, so we wish to be able to choose the most relevant topic at that time, because they're not until April and June. Sorry, the date's wrong on the slide, next year. And then we also have our UKRIO Symposium, which is our annual flagship event for research community, held online, and next year it will take place on the 12th of May. It's one of the UK's leading annual forums on research integrity. It brings together thought leaders, decision makers, practitioners to promote that shared understanding, coordinated approaches, and again, really focusing on that good practice across the research system. The Symposium's morning programme will be open to all stakeholders across the research community, and the afternoon is for the members of UKRIO's subscribers organisation, which will follow a similar format to this year, which featured interactive peer-led good practice forums and an update from UKRIO's recent work, so you're fully informed on what we've been doing. At this year's symposium, we examined the UK's renewed emphasis on research as a catalyst for economic growth, innovation and knowledge production, and the central role that research integrity plays in achieving these ambitions. We had a keynote conversation featuring Lord Patrick Vallance, who examined the UK's growth agenda and the key role integrity will play in its delivery. And for our subscribers, we had Virginia Burkett, winner of the 2025 John Maddox Prize, share real-world experiences of research integrity, which was quite difficult to hear about her experiences, highlighting its significance for leadership, decision-making and collaboration. So all in all, it's a really special event and we highly recommend that you save the date for next year's symposium. The recap summary to this year's symposium, if you didn't attend, will be shared now in the chat, or if you just want to go back and have a think about what was said, will be shared in the chat now. And finally, I'll finish on this slide before passing back to Steph. UKRIO's vision extends beyond supporting compliance to policies and procedures. While these are essential tools, our ambition is to help create a research environment where people feel supported to do their best work, empowered by a shared and genuine commitment to research integrity. Alongside our convening activities, we have been actively collaborating and forming new partnerships. We are part of an advisory group on a project run by the University of Leicester, which I've already mentioned about, as they will be coming to tell us all about it at the expert webinar in March next year. We are also acting as advisors for the research project at the University of Lancaster, exploring those creative methods I've already mentioned, and I've told you about the Kappa conundrums. That's another really exciting and quite different project. We're also contributing to training resources to support good practice in data management, in bullying, harassment and research misconduct cases with the Wellcome UKRI, AMRC and UCEA. And we are supporting the work of the European Network of Research Integrity Offices, UKRIO, via a project with the publishers Springer Nature that they are developing a training course on effective institutional research integrity investigations. So although this is a similar approach to what we are trying to do, this is in a much more global setting, European setting as well. So it'll be really interesting to see that resource when it comes out. So now I'm going to pass back to Steph. Sorry, I appreciate I've gone over time, Steph.
Yes, thank you, Jo. And with that in mind, I'm going to very quickly get through this section just so we can reserve a little bit of time for questions. I can see that the team are answering questions as they come in as well. So we'll be focusing on the ones that haven't been answered by the end. But just to kind of sum up, I hope this session has given you a clearer sense of our strategic direction, our long-term ambitions, and the priorities that will shape our work in the year ahead. As I mentioned, we'll be opening for questions in a moment. But before we do, I'd like to just highlight a few ways you can access, get involved, or otherwise help shape the work we've outlined today. So first up is our events program. This year, as Jo has highlighted, will be the largest events program we've ever delivered, with 25 events spanning webinars, good practice forums, roundtables, and those dedicated series of rec forums. The team has just dropped a link to our events calendar in the chat. So if any of that sounded of interest, please do feel free to explore, register to attend, or share the opportunities with colleagues who may benefit. Second is to engage in our training. In the same events calendar, you'll be able to register for our live training on a range of topics, from general introduction courses to more specific topics, such as using AI in research. If you're interested in our online training and haven't already rolled that out to your organization, I encourage you to register your institution to access it via the form, again, provided in the chat, noting that that revised and updated suite of intro courses will be available from late September, as Marusha has previously shared. And as mentioned, we don't just provide training, we also provide a range of resources to support you and your organization in delivering it. That includes practical train the trainer toolkits that can help you to build internal capability and tailor delivery to your own context. So again, we've included links in the chat to some of those projects and resources for you to take a look. But as always, if you're interested in something else, please do get in touch. And our email, training@ukrio.org, is on screen there. If you're looking for advice and guidance, we've just provided links to both our library of information and guidance, which we are continually updating and expanding, as well as to our confidential advisory service, which is open to all. And as Kanisa has already mentioned, there are immediate and upcoming opportunities to get involved, not least our upcoming workshops to co-develop the core procedure taking place on the 14th and 23rd. So if you're interested, please do sign up using the links in the chat or the QR code on screen. And finally, if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to sign up to our monthly newsletter to stay up to date with our work, hear about our upcoming events and resources, and find opportunities to get involved. A final note before we open for questions, we are acutely aware that the environments in which many of us are operating in are becoming increasingly challenging, and against that backdrop, we know as UKRIO, we can't stand still. And that's why alongside delivering against the strategic priorities we discussed today, we're also looking closely at how we deliver our services and the value we provide to the community. We want to ensure that engaging with UKRIO is as straightforward and accessible and worthwhile as possible, and that our offer genuinely reflects the needs and priorities of the organizations we support. And that is why over the coming year, we are committed to one, reviewing our subscription model with input from the community. Two, deepening our engagement activities with stakeholders and our volunteer network. And three, undertaking a digital transformation project to make accessing our resources and services more intuitive and user-friendly. The goal here ultimately is to make sure that UK remains as responsive, relevant, and valuable as possible to the research community. So that's all up ahead. I hope you agree that our strategy for the next 5 years really demonstrates our commitment to supporting research integrity with and for the research community.